Today's readings are tied together really good, prophecy, fulfillment. And so the first reading from Isaiah, it's about 700 years BC, and the Israelites in the northern kingdom, remember there's a northern and a southern kingdom of Israel there, they're taken into exile by the Assyrians. And it's a terrible blow to them, and they're dispersed among the pagan kingdoms as slaves. And not only is it shocking to them, it's shocking to the southern kingdom of Judah, which will fall in about 150 years later. But theirs will be to the Babylonians. And so the people are shocked. They feel that God has abandoned them. They don't realize that God is chastising them for their sins, for their worship of idols and things like that. And amidst this geopolitical drama that's going on in Israel, Isaiah gives them a prophecy of hope. He says, "Your teacher will no longer hide himself." And when you hear teacher, think of God, think of Jesus. Your teacher will no longer hide himself. You will see your teacher. You will hear your teacher. He will say, "This is the way, follow it." Right? Jesus is the way, the truth, the life. So those words should ring in your ears. And as you reflect on it a little bit, you say, oh my gosh, it really is a prophecy of hope for these people. Isaiah is telling them that God's going to come and be with them again, even in a closer relationship than they had before, where God was in the Holy of Holies in the temple. They'll be able to see God. And if you think about it a little bit harder, it's, oh my gosh, it's a prophecy about the incarnation. God's going to become man. They're going to be able to see him. He's going to walk with the Jewish people there. And then today's gospel is a fulfillment of that prophecy. What's Jesus doing? He's going to the towns in Israel and proclaiming the good news, curing the sick, teaching. It's a fulfillment of that prophecy. But as Jesus goes along, he looks at the massive size of the crowds that are following him, that want to hear from him. And he looks at them and says, they're like sheep without a shepherd. And so he calls his disciples to him. And he says, we got to do something about this. And says, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. There's a lot of people to preach to, a lot of people to cure. And so he shares his power, he shares his authority with the disciples. And he gives it to them. And he tells them to go out and be Jesus to the people. And so it's a multiplier effect. Instead of one man doing this, now you got a dozen plus the one man. Kind of reminds me of the quads we're in. There's 4. You start off with 4. A year later, there's 16. A year after that, it's 64. It grows fast. And so now here we are 2,000 years later. And you think about it, the harvest is in our hands. We're expected to be Jesus to those that we meet. We're expected to tell other people about the kingdom of God that we run into. And so today, as we go through the day, maybe we should pray for a missionary spirit so that we can awaken the faith in others, especially our youth, and make them aware of the love that God has, the love that Jesus has for each and every one of us.